Hey, what is up you guys? My name is Catherine and welcome to my channel. For the month of December, every week I'm going to have a theme for the videos that I'm posting. So this week's theme is first impressions. So today's video is going to be my first ever time trying the brand Juvia'S. I mentioned them in my brands I've never tried video that I posted months ago. Said that I have never tried them, but I really wanted to because I've heard great things about them. The one thing that put me off was that I've heard some like horror stories of people ordering from them and just their order never shipping and customer service being unresponsive. And a bunch of you guys commented and said that they're not like that anymore. They've sorted out their issues. That was just when they were first starting out as a brand. And at least from the experience I have, that's absolutely true. My order shipped in a very timely manner, despite the fact that I ordered during their biggest sale of the year, and it actually ended up arriving early, which I know is like more on the carrier, but also has to do with when it was shipped. So that was an added bonus for me. So I did pick up two things during their Black Friday week sale. I picked up the Masquerade palette. This is the palette that I mentioned I wanted to try from Juvia'S, and I mean, it's just so beautiful. It's half and half of more colorful shadows and more neutral shadows, and obviously a lot of the colorful shadows are more purpley and blue toned, which you know I love. So I'm very, very excited about this. I will say the pan size is ridiculously huge. Like I have a big head and this palette is the size of my head. So, and then I also got the Siharan Blush Palette Volume 2. This was $10 on sale for these 6 blushes, and I'm super excited about this. These are blushes that like I don't have colors like this in my collection, so I feel like this is really going to add some value and like some unique shades to my collection, which I'm very, very excited about. And then shipping was $7, but then I had a code for $4 off since it was my first time ever ordering from them. So shipping really came out to like $3, and in total I paid $29 and some change for my order from Juvia'S. So I feel like I got a really good deal because it's something that I've been wanting to try for a really long time, and I definitely saved a lot of money by waiting for the sale than if I just bought them when I first wanted to buy them. So I'm structuring this video by splitting it up into 2 parts. I do 2 looks using the Masquerade palette and the Siharan Blush Volume 2 palette. This is the second look that I do in the video. I just wanted to be able to give you guys like a better opinion, or like form a stronger opinion on these products, because sometimes first impressions videos like can be very uninformative, and I definitely still feel like I need to play with these some more before I can formulate any strong opinions, but at least I have better opinions than if I had just done one look, like barely used any of the shades and just been like, all right, I'm done, here's your review. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It seemed like you guys are very excited for me to try out Juvia'S someday and get some tutorials with the Masquerade palette. So I hope this lives up to your expectations. If you are excited about this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and make sure you are subscribed and have my notification bell turned on. Especially as of now, my posting schedule is pending on your guys' vote. So make sure you go vote on my community tab as to what days you'd like to see me post. Let's get started with this video. Okay, so I'm gonna do one eye look using normal eyeshadow primers. Right now I've primed my eyelids with Urban Decay Primer Potion, and I've not set it. And I'm also gonna do a look priming my eyes with concealer because variety is the spice of life, and we want to see how these perform under different scenarios. So today I think I'm going to do a look playing with the purples and the neutrals in here. So I'm going to start out with the shade Burkina, which is your standard medium brown shade, on my little BH Cosmetics number 11. And I'm going to Fulani, which is a more, looks like a more cooler toned medium brown shade. And I'm going into the shade Zobo. So Zobo's like a very warm toned matte purple. I'm using an AOA Studio E129, which is a very similar shape to the Alomar Cosmetics blending brush. And I'm swirling the edges of that with the BH Cosmetics number 11. So the mattes in this don't really go that deep. Actually, none of the colors are like that deep, but the shimmers go a little bit deeper than the mattes. So I'm going to go to the shade Makeda, or Makeda, I really don't know how to say that. This is an AOA Studio E128. It's sort of similar to my Sigma E145, but it's a little fatter. And I'm going to try to pack this shade into my outer corner and bring that into my crease a little bit. This shade doesn't like stamp on with a brush very well. Like I had to swipe it. I couldn't just pack it on where I wanted it. And I'm just blending that out with Zobo. I'm going to try wetting this brush and see if I can get a little bit more out of this dark purple shade. Just get a little micellar water action under here because that fallout is really distracting. Oh my god, it's going everywhere. I'm going to try to cram as many of these bronze shades onto my lid as I can. So I'm going to start out with Casablanca, which is like, yo, true bronze going on in here. I'm using a ColourPop blending brush. I mentioned in my drugstore first impressions that I've been liking fluffier brushes for lid shades. Okay, so that's dry. Already quite metallic. And we're going to spritz and pop that onto the other eye. I'm going to use like a concealer brush to get a little more of a defined shape at the top of that. And now I'm going to the shade Dahlia on Alexi 111 brush. This is like a peachy nude shimmer, and I'm just gonna pop that on the inner part of the lid. Alright, I'm gonna wet this. And I'm going to the shade Calabar, which is a reddish bronze shimmer. And I'm putting that in between the shade Casablanca and the shade Makeda. This is an e.l.f. blending brush. Trying it dry first. And I'm popping a little bit more of Makeda into the outer corner. Alright, so I think that's what I'm going to do on the upper eye, I say, as if I haven't just crammed 4 different shimmers onto my lid. So I'm going to do some face makeup, and I'm going to come back to finish up the bottom part of the eye and also try out the blush palette. I feel like I'm just not having the best makeup day. Like my powder looks really weird and like this wing. It's just one of those days. So I'm going to take the brush that I used Makeda on, and I'm not adding any new product, and I'm just bringing this all up underneath. And you know what, to avoid the risk of this getting any worse, because I just feel like my hands aren't listening to my brain, that's all we're going to do to the under eye. Alright, so now for this gorgeous blush palette. Oh my god, I feel like this is so unique. Like, I don't have anything like most of these colors in my collection. I'm very curious about the shade B, That's what most drew me into this palette. This is like a true berry toned blush. I think the color is pretty. I'm having a hard time judging the formula because, like I already said, my powder is just a little not so cute right there. I'm gonna take this big floofy Morphe brush and I'm going into the shade Yara, but very lightly, because I think this is gonna work pretty well as a bronzer. And I'm not stupid enough to believe that this shade Zoba is gonna work on a highlight as a highlight on its own, but I think if I layer it with another highlight, it could work really well. So I'm going into that with a Morphe brush from the Face or Complexion Goals set. This whole cheek is canceled today. I'm just not feeling it right now. You know, that's actually a pretty decent subtle highlight on its own on my skin tone. It's not giving me like a cast, so that's good. But I am gonna just dip into the shade Giza from the actual Masquerade palette. This is like my goal highlight shade. Like, somebody make this exact shade and put it in a giant pan, and I'll buy like 50 of them and use all of them. Alright, so this is the final of look number 1. I'm going to reserve my more final judgments until tomorrow, but just a quick rundown. I'm overall impressed with how the shadows performed. I think the purple shade, the dark purple shade Makita, has a lot of fallout. Like, even just bringing it under my eye, you can see I got a little bit of purple up in my nose here. So that is something to note. I wish there were some like deeper shades. That was the one thing that I really was like feeling that I was lacking. But I do like, I don't know, I don't love how the look turned out. I feel like I'm just having like an off makeup day, but it's more like my liner and my like foundation that weren't really working for me. So I don't think like the palette's to blame. It's a little hard for me to make judgments on the blush right now because my makeup was just already so off on my cheek in this area. But this is look number 1. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned for look number 2 tomorrow. Well, it's gonna be today for you guys because this is all one video. See you in a second. Alright, so I have some ColourPop No Filter concealer on my eyelids, and I'm about to attempt this eyeshadow look that I have no business attempting. It's this look that I found on Pinterest by Little Dust MUA on Instagram. This photo is so obviously not Facetuned or photoshopped at all, which means that my attempt to recreate this look is going to turn out exactly like the photo. It's this really pretty peacocky toned halo eye. I'm just really drawn to this photo, so I'm gonna do my best, hoping that the concealer helps this pop a little bit. We'll see how everything goes. So I'm starting out with Burkina again. Sorry to be a bore. Trying to just like recreate the shape of slightly like winged. Just bringing this over into the crease. To really deepen up the crease, I'm going to mix Ada and Fulani. These are the two darkest browns in the palette. Fulani is more cool toned and Ada is like a very reddish brown. So again, I'm just kind of bringing those into the crease. Charlotte, do you really need to step in my eyeshadow? Kittens are crazy, y'all. So this is a BH Cosmetics Studio Pro number 5. What can I help you with? What? What do you want? So I'm using a BH Cosmetics Studio Pro number 5 to really build this in the crease and the outer corner. So I'm going over this with the BH Cosmetics number 11 to really make sure everything's nice and blended, and we might go in and deepen that up later, but first we're gonna get started on all the deep tones in the halo eye. So I feel like looking at this photo, it's pretty obvious that Chi was used in the inner and outer corner. It's the deepest blue shimmer in here. So I've gone into Chi, which is the deepest blue shimmer in this palette, on my Sigma E45. This is a very tapered blending brush. These shimmers really don't pack very well. You definitely have to use like more of a little swiping motion. I'm now going into the shade Zulu, which is a very orangey brown, and also the name of another Juvia'S Place palette on my Alamar Cosmetics blending brush. And that's going along the edges of this blue. I'm now going into a mix of Burkina and Zulu to hopefully add a little bit more blend here. Oh, hi. I have paw prints in 2 of these eyeshadows now, which is really cute and not at all annoying. So blue and orange are like exact opposites on the color wheel, so they get very muddy when you blend them together. And I'm noticing that that's where some of the depth that I see in this original photo is actually coming from, is just like the muddy gray color that those made. I'm now just rebuilding up the like intensity of the blue in the inner and outer corner. So in this photo, it almost looks like one of the lighter blues is used to layer with the green. I'm going into the shade Dahlia on this Alamar paddle brush. And I'm placing this on the outer part of the center of my lid. And I'm just taking the clean side of this brush and going into Molly, not like M-O-L-L-Y, M-A-L-I. And again, spritzing this. I'm actually so pleasantly surprised with how this is turning out. My one issue I'm having is that the green is showing up so much more shimmery on my left eye than my right. And I have no clue what's causing that. Alright, so I'm going to do some base face makeup and liner and lashes off camera. I'm going to use my last pair of my Amazon lashes. Once I use up my Ardell Wispies, I'll order some more of these too. So then I'll be right back to finish up the under part of the eye and play with the blush palette some more. Alright, so for my under eye, I have gone back into Chi on this Alamar liner brush, and I wet the brush, and I'm placing that along my under eye about to the middle. And I've gone back into Molly on that paddle brush, and I'm just blending that into Chi along the under eye. And I've taken this Luxie 131 brush, and I did 1 tap into Burkina and 1 tap into Zulu, and I'm just running this along the bottom of those colors. I so rarely do black liner on the bottom of my eye, but I feel like this is one of those instances where it's just a little bit necessary. So for the inner eye, I'm starting out with the shade Zola on a Luxie 111 brush, and I have wet that. And I'm just dipping my pinky into Giza. I am once again going into the Siharan 2 blush palette into the shade Yara. I am today using this big old fluffy Morphe brush, and I'm tapping this in as bronzer. But I want just a little more depth to my face today, so I'm also going into my NYX blush in taupe. For the actual blush, I'm going to try the shade Tau, because I feel like it'll add some nice contrast to the face, since this is like a true orange. Okay, that's a lot. That's very pigmented. And I want to try Sola as like a blush topper. Oh my god, these are like too pigmented. I was like prepared for this when I got this palette, because like they are formulated for deeper skin tones, or like with deeper skin tones in mind. And like I'm not the target audience of like this blush palette, so I'm definitely gonna need to learn how to use like a lighter hand, because this is like borderline, not even borderline, this is clown makeup at this point on me, but that's fully my fault. That's like not the fault of the blush. Okay, the funniest thing is that like this is how red my face is like on its own, and I'm sitting here like, oh my god, too much blush. I am strictly going to use the shade Giza from the Masquerade palette as my highlight today. So this is my final look for today, and I'm actually very pleasantly surprised with how similar the eyeshadow turned out when compared to the original inspiration photo. I wasn't expecting to get this level of vibrancy, like especially from the green in the center. Like that's really where I was like, there's no way that's happening, but it did, it happened. I'm not loving how the blush and bronzer turned out. Like I definitely was a little heavy-handed with it, which ended up with me having to layer like a lot of powder over top of it to make it work for me. But I feel like that's like a learning thing, not necessarily like I don't think it's a bad product. I think it's just not really made for my skin tone, so I need to learn how to work with it. All right, so I have collected my thoughts as best as possible, and I'm here to give them to you. So the palette, I feel like what Juvia'S Place is known for is their eyeshadow palettes, and I can very much see why after trying this. I think the formula is very good. I need to play with it more before I can put any like superlatives on it, like the best formula I've ever tried, the best affordable formula I've ever tried, like best formula for the price, like that sort of thing. I can't place that definitive of a label on it yet, as this is a first impressions, but I think the formula is very good. Obviously you saw the shimmers do get some fallout, but I always say I would rather have a shimmer that gets a lot of fallout but has good payoff than a shimmer that's very hard pressed but's not gonna like come through for you on the eye. In terms of color scheme, I found myself a little bit disappointed in terms of like the depth that this is able to go to. Obviously I was able to get it pretty deep with this blue and this purple, but I still wish there was a matte color that was a little bit deeper. Between like these two colors or these two colors, I don't feel that both sets are quite necessary. They do have different undertones and different color payoff, but I still don't think that both levels of like slightly cool medium brown and very warm medium brown are necessary in the palette. And I would much rather see like a very deep matte purple, or maybe a matte green, or a very deep matte blue in the palette, just to give it some more depth and intensity. But I still think it's a beautiful palette, and I still think there are tons of looks you can do using just this palette alone. The only thing that I really found tricky to work with was how the shimmers didn't really like to be packed on, they liked to be swiped on. I found that like a little odd, but not like unworkable, and I don't know if anyone else has had that experience. Like I tried it with a couple different brushes and I kept feeling the same way, But like most shimmers, they perform best wet or applied with a finger, but I think they are very beautiful. Most importantly, I think there are a lot of shades in here that are very unique to my collection. Obviously from here on down, it's not so unique to my collection, but like I don't have a green shimmer or blue shimmer or a purple shimmer of this like exact color and undertone and depth. And more importantly, I've been wanting shimmers like these three for quite some time. I think this is a really great formulated purple, and I'd love, love, love to see them do like an truly all purple palette with a good mix of matte and shimmer purples. I love purple eyeshadow, so obviously I'm biased, but like I'd love to have a full palette of purples formulated as well as this purple is. I think this palette is best for someone like me who loves both colorful and neutral eyeshadows, because you can see it's a very 50-50 split between neutral and colorful eyeshadow. So if you really love one or you really love the other, you're going to be left with about half of an eyeshadow palette that isn't really that great for you. That being said, Juvia'S has tons of eyeshadow palettes, and I feel like just going through their palettes really quickly on my phone, there is something for almost anyone on there. And I think you are getting a really, really great eyeshadow formula for the price. So if you've been looking for an affordable eyeshadow palette that isn't from the drugstore, that maybe has some more unique shades to it, I would definitely recommend checking Juvia'S out. So overall, I'm happy that I picked up an eyeshadow palette from Juvia'S. I think this eyeshadow palette was the best one for me to pick up, just given my interest in the types of looks that I like to do. I still don't really see another palette on their website that quite speaks to me, but I am excited to see what they launch in the future. Now for the Siharan 2 blush palette, I think this is beautiful, and it was just as unique as I was hoping it was going to be for my collection. The only ones that aren't really unique are these two shimmers, which I'm going to show you what I'm talking about in a second. I'm so excited to have like a truly purple berry toned blush and a truly orange blush in my collection now. And these are intensely pigmented. I'm definitely going to need to like learn how to have a very light hand with them, because I've been using my e.l.f. blush palette for the past 2.5 months now, where they're very hard pressed and like you can just dig your brush in and you're not gonna get too much blush on your brush. I think this blush palette can be used by anyone. I wouldn't recommend it for a fair skinned person who is super new to makeup, because you saw me using it. They're not very forgiving if you get too much on your brush, but I think if you have just like some experience working with various pigment levels of blushes and you're really drawn to this, you could definitely make it work for you. So just some comparison swatches for the blush. Right at the top I have the shade Zoba, which is the lighter shimmery blush in the Siharan 2 palette. And then right below that I have Wet n Wild highlighter and Precious Petals. So you can see those two are the most similar. Then below that I've also swatched the Wet n Wild blush in Don't Flutter Yourself. That one's not that similar. I feel like it's kind of an in-between of Sola and Zoba. And then I also swatched the Laura Geller New York Baked Blush in the shade Tropical Hues, which came in the BoxyCharm, and that is very similar to the shade Zoba. So the shimmers aren't that unique to my collection, but I'm also kind of glad about that, because I've gotten blushes that I very much want, and I can maybe declutter these other blushes that are quite similar, and all in all, like, it'll be taking up less space in my collection. So my first time trying Juvia'S, I would definitely say was a success. I'm very, very happy with the two purchases that I got. If you are looking to buy from Juvia'S, I would really recommend waiting until they have a sale. I've been on their mailing list for a while, keeping my eye out for this sale. Obviously, the biggest sale of every year is going to be Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and that's already passed, but I've seen them do 25–30% off on a regular basis. So if you're wanting to buy from them, don't pay full price. Definitely wait until you're able to get the products on sale. There's no need to pay full price for stuff that goes on sale quite so often. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know some of you have been requesting that I try Juvia'S for quite some time, so I hope I lived up to your expectations. If you did enjoy this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Make sure you have my notifications turned on so you don't miss my next video. And hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Bye!